You got to remember, whatever you do in life, particularly from a hobby side of things, it's got to be something that you enjoy. And that's what the YFC is a huge enjoyment. Anybody listening to this, I hope that they realise that I wasn't here at the beginning of the 90 years. That's not the reason why I'm here. I'm a bit closer. I'm way past halfway to 90 now, So it's a wonderful, wonderful movement.
So we start off with Burnt Island Shipyard.
No soccer. This is not soccer.
It is soccer. It is soccer. It's in Scotland actually. So yeah, Adelaide Hills Hawks.
No.
It is soccer in Australia. Hello, Shemai, and welcome to YFC and Me, the new podcast from Wales YFC. It's a very special year to Wales YFC this year, celebrating 90 years since its establishment back in 1936. By today, there are 5,500 members across 138 clubs across 12 counties all over Wales. And it's a really special privilege to be hosting this first podcast of YFC and Me, where we'll be looking back at some of the memories that have been made along the way, all those 90 years, of course, and also looking ahead to the future as well, and all the various events and competitions taking place within the movement. And of course, I couldn't discuss all this on my own either, so I'm delighted to be joined by a very special guest. He needs no introduction really, but I will give him one anyway. He is a farmer, but he's probably best known as a world-renowned international rugby referee. And he just so happens to be the former president of Wales YFC and NFYFC, Mr Nigel Owens. Croeso ato ni, Nigel. Diolch am ddod ato ni.
Diolch, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So as you said, obviously YFC is a very important part of your life. You were, of course, president of Wales YFC and NFYFC. Tell us about how your association with the movement began.
Yeah, look, it's been hugely influential, really, in my life, and contributed hugely to a lot of what I achieved, I suppose, during and after YFC. But I started quite late, really. I was about 15, going on to 16 before I started YFC, because, funnily enough, I think... So I was a member of Llanarthne YFC, which met on, I think it was on every Monday, I think we were a Tuesday, I can't remember. There was a more local one, which was Llanarthne YFC, which is a bit more local to me. But it used to fall on the same night as whist drive in Moneycarrig School. And my mum used to run the whist drive, and I loved playing whist, so I used to go to whist drive. So didn't get a chance to go to YFC then. And anyway, about 15, I started working on the Wern farm in Drefach. And Howard Roberts, who was a member of Llanarthne YFC, he'd been asked to go back there with a lady from Llanarthne called Delyth to be club leaders, because the club was going through a bit of a difficult time and lower numbers, and they went back there. And because I was working there, and then my cousin Helen from Moneycarrig as well, we used to do a lot of things in Sunday school and stuff like that, when in school performing and stuff like that. And Howard asked if I would like to join the YFC, and he put on a minibus then. So a minibus used to collect us. It was about 17, 18 of us going from the area, from the Gwenreth Valley to Llanarthne. People like Rhian Jones, who was an actor in Pobl y Cwm, Debbie Jones then, who was to act in Pobl y Cwm. A lot of these weren't sort of your traditional young farmers members, really. They weren't farmers' sons or daughters or anything. And I wasn't a farmer's son, although I had a huge interest in farming. And I used to work on a farm at my uncle and auntie's farm up in Llanarthne during the school holidays, and then Tirgarn farm then up in Moneycarrig when I was a young kid every Saturday. So it was always in my blood, although I wasn't a farmer's son or anything. I was living on a council estate in Moneycarrig. So that's how it all started, really. And then I went to the YFC in Llanarthne. I was secretary for a year, but that was, of course, hard work as sec. That's the most important job in the club, I think. So I then was chairman for a couple of years. It was much easier. You wouldn't have to turn up and say your please and thank yous. And so I was a member then till about... Well, I was a membership for a while, but I sort of didn't go much then after about 22 years of age, I think, because refereeing took over then and became quite took up most of your time, really. But yeah, the YFC was a hugely enjoyable, because you got to remember, whatever you do in life, particularly from a hobby side of things, it's got to be something that you enjoy. And that's what the YFC is a huge enjoyment. And plus the benefit of that as well, it gives you the opportunities as well. Now, I wasn't sort of really much on the sort of agri side of things. I did stock judging, I did very well, do a couple of things in the rally, but I was more the sort of pantomime, public speaking and the acting. That's what I liked, and the Eisteddfod and stuff like that. I remember my first time competing in the rally. It was in the old mart in Carmarthen, then in the middle of town. And one of the competitions was, I think it was Lucky Dip, whatever it's called. Anyway, you had 2 eggs. But one egg was you were supposed to draw and decorate it. And the theme was, like pantomime character, I think was the theme. And then the other egg, then you were supposed to do a little hole in it. And then the quicker that you could blow it, the time you blowing the egg out for like a pin needle hole, So anyway, I did the decoration, which wasn't very good, hopeless stuff like that. And then I went to pin the hole. I went to blow the egg. I was blowing. I was right in the cheek. I couldn't blow it. What I done, I decorated the egg that wasn't boiled and then trying to blow the one that was boiled. So I wasn't very good at the practical side of things when it came to YFC, but I enjoyed it, and it helped immensely. Just I was quite used to sort of speaking really because of went to Sunday school. I was saying. We were singing in chapel at 6 years of age, a couple of Simony Cerrig and stuff like that, and the Gymanfa and everything, and then always taking part in nativity plays. So I was quite used to stuff like that, and then it gave you opportunities in public speaking and learning how to sort of speak and stuff. But it was a wonderful, wonderful movement, and I benefited hugely out of it, as I'm sure as many have.
Yeah, and you mentioned there that you were 15 when you joined, so a bit later maybe than the starting age for many members. So what were your first impressions of the movement when you joined?
How enjoyable it was, and the opportunities it gave you, just the little things, of encouraging people to stand up and just, give thanks when somebody had come to do a club visit or something, just little things like that, and there's so many people who went to the young farmers who weren't very confident in doing that, and it gave them opportunities and encouraged them to do that, and the friends you made as well, and I don't know if they have them. You probably wouldn't be allowed to have them now. We used to go to things like Have a Go and stuff like that, and you'd play all these games and stuff, and hugely enjoyable evenings. Whether you'd be allowed to do it now, I don't know, in the world we live today, unfortunately. But it was a bit of an eye opener as well, and the friendship and. The camaraderie, and friends you made from different young farmers as well as in your own young farmers and stuff as well. It was wonderful. It really was, and it's an eye opener as well, really. Because from somebody who wasn't coming from a farming background in one sense, and that's one thing I really pushed for when I was Wales YFC, president, which I did for about 5 years, I think. And then I did the national YFC president for about 3 years. Unfortunately, a lot of that was during COVID. But that's one thing that I was really sort of quite strong on, was trying to encourage the movement to sort of it is open to everybody, but maybe not the movement I was encouraging, but trying to encourage people who are not from a farming background and say, well, look, it is a movement. It's not just for farmers. You will benefit hugely by being, for people, for non-farmers. Like a lot of us went to Llanarthne. I would say probably about 80% of the YFC, although we have farming backgrounds, your grandparents or uncle, auntie maybe were farmers. We all had a farming background in one sense. But about 80% of the club, and we were a very successful club at that time as well, winning a lot of things. But about 80% of the membership were not from a farm or from a farming family which were actually living on a farm, So that was something I was really sort of pushing the YFC for, to sort of, to say, well, look, it's not just for farmers. There are plenty of the things for people who are not from a non-farming, but it must hold on to that backbone of the farming community, because that's what it is, and it must never lose that. Yeah. But also to sort of, sell itself as well to, come along and you'll enjoy whether you're from a farming background or not,
Yeah, and you draw on different people's strengths then as well, because there is something for everybody within the movement in terms of the competitions that you've mentioned as well yourself there.
And as well, and I think what sort of Clarkson Farm has done. Look at the huge amount of interest there is in farming now. Young people wanting to become farmers. Now, the opportunity to become a farmer or run a farm yourself, and even working in a farm, I guess, is very few and far between. But what Clarkson Farm has done has really opened it up to sort of people who want to be farmers now, who are from a non-farming background. And even though I was a farming background, I wasn't a farmer's son. You know, I've got a small holding now. We've got about 90 acres. We rent about 70 acres. We've got a herd of about 80 herefords between everything, calves, young bulls, cows and everything. And so I'm not a farmer's son or anything. And, it's very difficult. So I saved up. The refereeing helped me, and I saved up over the years. I was advised by a friend of mine who happened to be a referee, advising me in doing some sort of investments and stuff as well, which helped me which helped us buy the farm, because it's very difficult to get into it, particularly to have your own farm. And as I said, brought up in a council estate, and not a farmer's son. The only way that I was going to have a farm was if I was going to marry a farmer's daughter, and that wasn't going to happen. I couldn't see any farmer letting me marry his son. So that's how it all came about, really. So it's hugely important, I think, and particularly now, the opportunity there is for the YFC movement to show on the back of things like Clarkson Farm, what a great movement it is.
Yeah, and this podcast is happening because it's 90 years since it was first established. And there are a few other things as well new this year to celebrate. Wales YFC was part of the Pride Cymru parade this year as well.
Yep.
As a member of the LGBTQ plus community, how important is it for YFC to show that support?
Hugely important, I think, because if you think of farming is very similar to rugby and to sort of industries like construction, which is that big sort of male-orientated, macho image. And it's no surprise at all, really, from a very, very sort of negative side of things and a very sort of sad way of things, really, that the farming community, because of the pressures that's involved with farming, it can give you a huge amount of enjoyment, of course it can, as we see in the young farmers, and farming does as well. But it can also bring a lot of pressures, particularly, for farmers when we live in a sort of very volatile, when we rule by the markets and stuff a lot. And it's no surprise that the farming community has the highest sort of percentage of male suicide in any other industry in the UK. And obviously, with that macho image, it's very difficult if you're somebody like myself who's in the LGBTQ plus community. It can be very, very difficult to be yourself in that industry, whether you're male or female, particularly for a young gay man or older gay men as well. So, I know quite a few farmers who are still living that lie, living in secret because of the fear of it. And sort of it's important to sort of, particularly when a huge amount of the farming community is still very sort of old-fashioned and set in their ways, very sort of age, sort of, a lot of farmers are very sort of older generations. So it's very, very important, I think, as a young farmers movement, that we sort of encourage the movement to be a movement that people can feel comfortable and be themselves, and being able to be themselves within the workplace, if you're working on the farm, or even if you're a farmer's son or daughter, that encourage people to be themselves. Because unless you can be yourself and happy within yourself, there's no way you can be the best of what you can be. There's no way you're going to enjoy what you're doing if you're not able and feeling comfortable and being able to be yourself, being able to take your authentic self to work. And that, I think, is probably one of the challenges of the farming community, and a challenge for the young farmers movement as well, is in encouraging that environment where people can feel comfortable in being themselves, and also as well in encouraging people. We know the farming has a high percentage of people who suffer from mental health issues, where, and mostly, not only men, women, of course, but the men in particular, they find it very difficult they feel it like a sense of weakness to open up about the challenges of mental health and the struggles, the pressure of farming. And, we need to do more to encourage and that people see it as a actual sign of strength to open up and ask for help. And this is, we have a lot of sort of charities and stuff out there now which do a great job, like Tir Ddewi and many of the other charities as well, that sort of encourage that openness and stuff as well, and that's hugely important. So it was great to see the YFC getting involved in something like the Pride event, and encouraging people that they can be themselves in the industry like any other industry in the world.
Yeah, and hopefully the first of many for them to be involved in. So a final question for you, Nigel. 90 years now since it was first established. What role do you think that Wales YFC has to play in the lives of young people in rural Wales?
Hugely important role, I think, because of a lot of things we've discussed already. I think one of the, and we're doing this podcast in English, but one I think of to me, it's the last frontier, it's the last stronghold of our language and our culture as well, is the rural communities. And it's really important the YFC plays a huge part in that, because it is a stronghold of the Welsh language, and it does contribute and must continue to contribute and uphold that, and as well in encouraging young farmers and young people into farming as well, because we're hearing and seeing a lot of young people drop out of farming, not wanting to carry on the sort of the family farm and stuff, and I think the young farmers can play a big part in that. It can sort of continue the great work that it's already done in giving opportunities, people growing up to be good, decent people because of that background and the sort of ethos of the young farmers movement as well, and the opportunities it gives people as well. And a lot of farmers, remember, spend a lot of time on their own. It can be a very, very lonely job, particularly in the modern farming, where if you're a very sort of small to medium farm now, you probably spend a lot of time in work doing another job. You come home, then you're doing work on the farm after you're coming home. You're coming in late at night and stuff, and you don't see anybody from day to day. Maybe some of the vet farms are in very remote parts of Wales. People don't see each other. You don't have the sort of, you don't have the travelling people, the salesman's calling as much now. Everything is done online, you order online, it's delivered to you. So that a lot of that sort of relationship of seeing people and speaking to people doesn't happen as often as it used to. And particularly where a lot of farms now sort of don't employ people as much as they used to. Everybody's busy, people spending much time communicating, and I think the farmers movement then is hugely beneficial in that young farmers in particular, young people who are working all the hours going on the farm have a release, I guess, and be able to go to somewhere and enjoy themselves and in the company of like-minded people as well. And I think that was highlighted particularly during the pandemic, through those couple of years of COVID, where a lot of people in all industry, but in the farming industry, in the young farmers industry, found it very, very difficult. You'd be on the farm 24/7, and then you weren't seeing anything, and it's another thing we saw. I opened the market in Carmarthen a few years ago when it reopened. How beneficial it is, farmers go to the market. I mean, maybe that's their only trip in the week, to go somewhere to sit down and have a chat with somebody. So the young farmers movement plays a hugely important part in all aspects of, not just of agriculture and farming community, but also in the rural community itself as well, the true background and the future of the rural communities as well, because the future generations are the young generations, and we must encourage them to be part of that community, be part of the rural community, to continue to play a part in farming. And I think that is one of the vital things that the young farmers movement should be doing, and is doing, in all fairness, as well as the many other sort of benefits that comes of being a member of such a wonderful movement. Particularly it's been going for 90 years. And it's important it goes for another 90 years as well. And anybody listening to this, I hope that they realise that I wasn't here at the beginning of the 90 years. That's not the reason why I'm here. I'm a bit closer. I'm way past halfway to 90 now, So it's a wonderful, wonderful movement.
And it's a nice opportunity as well to give a plug, seeing as you mentioned the Welsh language. There is also, if you've enjoyed this podcast, there's a Welsh language podcast as well, YFC Cyffi, and you can tune into that as well wherever you get your podcast. So thank you for the plug there, Nigel. Nice segue. Now it's time to hear from you, because it is ultimately your movement, and we've been asking members what YFC means to them.
The YFC means to me skills, teamworking and friends. I had the opportunity of learning so many skills through the Young Farmers movement, and one of the greatest of those has to be teamworking. working with others of differing ages, various abilities, to either work on a competition, a committee, or a project. The other aspect has to be friendship, and the friends that I made through Young Farmers have become my lifelong friends.
Owen Morris here of Fishguard YFC here in sunny Pembrokeshire. How I will describe YFC is it's given me so much confidence. If it wasn't for YFC, I never would have become chairman. I was always adamant if I was going to sit back in the back of the hall and never have a role. I have now had a role club level and county level, and I've also travelled the world with YFC. So YFC, I am so grateful for the confidence it's given me.
My name is Hannah Rees and I'm a member of Llanarthne YFC in Pembrokeshire. I'm not sure whether my proudest moments within YFC have been the number of successes I have gained from county level to Wales to national, or as Sam Kurtz very kindly pointed out, that my YFC membership is that old that it could legally drink. I joined Llanarthne YFC when I was 10 years old and I'm now in my final year as a competing member. I've taken pride in being able to have taken so many opportunities through YFC, whether it be in stock judging, to travel, to being painted green on stage, covered in feathers, doing a rendition of Orville, thanks to Delmy. I was very lucky to have been part of the first mystery trip that YFC Travel did, where a group of us travelled to Athens. It was a great week where we explored Athens and also watched the progression of Dom's sunburn to the point where by the final night he was the same colour as his shirt. In the grand scheme of things, the coming runner-up in the YFC Agri Awards and being a finalist for the NFYFC Achiever Awards for the Young Farmer of the Year really does come quite low down in the food chain when you look back of all of the fond memories and achievements that I have gained through the last 18 years of YFC.
Hi, I'm Molly Hooper. I'm from Prestine in Radnorshire. For me, Young Farmers is so much more than just a club or a place that you go to see your friends. It's a place where you can really step outside your comfort zone, learn new skills, meet new people and make friendships with people all over Wales, UK, Europe. Whether it's like competitions, community projects, social events, travelling, meeting new people, having a laugh with friends, there's literally something in it for absolutely everyone. YFC has given me the confidence to try things that I never thought that I would be able to do, and it creates opportunities that you really wouldn't get anywhere else. It's a fantastic movement that supports its members, celebrates each other's successes, and it really does encourage you to become the best version of yourself. For me, Young Farmers, that's what Young Farmers is all about. It's creating memories, building confidence, and being a part of such a fantastic community which has so much to offer.
Hi, my name's David Price and I have the honour of being president of Wales YFC. If you ask me what YFC means to me, in 4 words it would be countryside, community, friendship and fun. YFC has changed a lot in Wales in the 90 years it's been around, but the same principles apply to young people. They have great opportunities, they come together, learning new skills, growing in confidence, great advocates for young people having their voice in the countryside, but ultimately it's friendship and fun that brings them all together, and long may it continue.
Well, thank you to everybody who sent in their messages about what YFC means to them, and you can see from the responses there, Nigel, just how much people have gained from the movement, be that the experiences, the skills they've learned, but also what's coming through is that sense of community and the friendships they make along the way. Yeah,
and you remember that the farming community is a very small, close-knit community. It's always traditionally has been, where people would pull together and help each other, farmers go help each other, and sort of that is continuing, now as well. Maybe not as much as it used to be in the past, but you can see that particularly within the YFC movement, it is a very close-knit community. And it is a small community in the grand scale of things, but a really, really close-knit one.
Yeah, and also, you meet people from other counties as well, other areas, and the opportunities that some of the members they mentioned about being able to travel abroad as well and meet people from other countries even. So I guess in that sense, it does also broaden your horizons maybe beyond your immediate circle as well.
It does, and very few sort of movements would give opportunities that what Young Farmers does to sort of, travel to New Zealand and to other countries all over the world, and the exchanges that have with countries within the UK or Europe as well. So very, very few movements give that opportunity, really, and that is something hugely, hugely beneficial for people. That some of these people, maybe that'll be the only time that they'll ever travel. So it does, and you learn different skills, different skill sets in doing that as well.
Well, I feel like we've had a nice, deep and meaningful chat, so thank you for that. But now it's time for us to go a bit game show, think the wheel or blankety blank. Maybe the prizes are probably more similar to blankety blank. So we're going to start off with what's in the bag. Now, if you're taking part in any YFC competition, you're going to have some essentials with you. You're going to have to, for example, in a public speaking competition, you'll have to have your pack of cards to make notes, and you've got to have a pen, which I occasionally forget, and I'm sure many of the members would as well. So what would be your 3 items that you would absolutely have to have in your YFC bag?
How many items have you need? 3?
3 items, yeah.
Well, when you get to my age, it's these glasses.
Are they very focals, or...?
No, they're just normal glasses.
Oh,
They're just reading glasses.
Reading glasses.
I couldn't read without them now. White coat. Obviously, you need a white coat, don't you? I've got a white coat in my bag somewhere. There you go.
Fair play, you're
White
prepared.
coat.
That's very
Even
good.
though I wasn't sort of... The competitions I used to do, I did some white coat ones, particularly rally ones and stuff like that. I'm very white coat now with the showing and stuff. But
you could do stock judging again now. You said you had great success at that, didn't you?
I've judged, so people knew what I did, how poor I was in stock judging, and then they've asked me to judge I've done a judge in a couple of shows. I did Ponegothy or Cothi Bridge, whatever, a show a couple of weeks ago. I'm doing Nantwich show now at the end of this month, and Brecon show as well. I'm judging the Herefords. I went in Ireland judging last year, so yeah, that white coat is whether white coat for showing, not for actually when you're judging it yourself. No.
At least then you know what you're not looking for, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
After
And then the other thing that I would always put in the bag wherever I go, and I think is quite relevant, I think, within the sort of every farm, I guess, is always time for a cup of tea. Even when things are going wrong, something's breaking down, or you're waiting for a cow to calve, or you're away doing something with the YFC, there's always time to have a cup of tea.
In a flask, lovely. How do you take your tea?
Flask,
Milk, sugar?
Yeah, milk in tea. I like my tea strong. Yeah, I used to take sugar, but not anymore.
No. Sweetener?
No, not sweetener. No. I like the sugar.
Sweet enough, as they say, Nigel. Sweet enough.
Oh, I'm sure with that.
Okay, so quick fire questions next then. Describe YFC in 3 words.
YFC in 3 words. Bloody good movement.
There we go, okay. Would you rather be the best at stock judging, I think I know the answer to this one, or the funniest person in the pantomime?
Funniest person in the pantomime.
Yeah. Would you rather play rugby with a football or play football with a rugby ball?
Play rugby with a football.
Would you rather a week in Barcelona or a week in Bilth?
Oh, now when? Do you know my first time in the Royal Welsh show? I was with my Uncle Nanty when I was to go up the dairy farm in Llanarthne, where they used to farm, Graham and Gloria. I used to go up for 7 holidays, told you. And that was my first time in the Royal Welsh. I was 7 years of age, and I got lost. And it was on the Tarnoid. I was in the Lost and Found, and that's where they found me. That was my first experience of the Royal Welsh. But I do enjoy the Royal Welsh, yeah. So, yeah, Royal Welsh for me.
Would you like to go backwards in time or forwards in time?
Oh, backwards. Definitely backwards. And I'd like to go back 90 years ago as well, in the beginning.
It'd be good to see how it all started. If you go to the cinema, would you go to watch a horror film or a rom-com?
Not a big fan of these. I don't find these rom-coms. I like a film like Twin Town or something funny like that.
Comedy,
my sort of sense of humour would be things like Mrs. Brown's Boys and stuff like that. Some of these rom-coms, I'm sitting there and think, I don't see what this is funny. Horror, I too jump a bit to the horror. Horror film. But it's got to be quite believable, not over the top horror.
Tame. Yeah, nice. Jam or cream first? On your scone?
What on a scone?
Or scone, yeah.
Posh now, when you posh tea.
You got your cup of tea in your bag, so...
No, butter first.
So none of the above.
Yeah,
okay,
butter, then jam, and then cream on top.
Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, nice.
You should have asked me, what about the tea now then?
What about the tea?
Yeah, milk or tea bag?
Yes, well, what would you put in first?
Oh, the tea bag first,
Yeah.
let it give a bit, then the milk. I hate when somebody makes a cup of tea and put the milk in and the tea bag after.
Yeah.
But it clogs the tea bag up, it doesn't give as well.
Do you take the tea bag out before you put the milk in?
No, I'll have let the tea bag in quite a bit,
Yeah.
so it's strong enough. I will take it out, then put the milk in, and to see if it's strong enough, and then it needs to go back in. Because once you put the milk in, it clogs the tea bag up.
This is great content, guys. Great content.
Gotta be
Socials, I
tea
think.
bag first, the milk first.
And finally, what's the best meal of the day? Is it breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
How old are you?
Oh, well, 27.
27, right, okay. So you won't remember it then. Because when I was little, it was breakfast, dinner, tea, and supper. There was no such thing as lunch. Lunch was posh. You never heard lunch. It was breakfast, breakfast, dinner, tea, and supper. Breakfast, cino, tea, a supper.
Yeah.
Supper for me. I still love supper. A supper could be anything from bread with hot milk or something like that, or jam on toast, or something nice and simple, you know, like a nice little snack or something. Bara tea, used to call it. You put bread in a bowl and then make a cup of tea, like, you know, put the tea then and milk in it then, like a bara tea.
Wow, I've never heard that before. But
no, I tried to see bara tea.
Yeah, bara tea. So one final quick game in our games corner of the podcast, and it is, you know, World Cup season, or it's just behind us. Sadly, Wales wasn't part of it this time round. And one of your most famous quotes as a ref was, "This isn't soccer." So this game is soccer or not soccer. So we're going to give you teams anywhere in the world, any sporting teams. You're going to have to work out whether it's a soccer or football team or not a soccer team.
Right.
So we start off with Burnt Island Shipyard.
No soccer. This is not soccer.
It is soccer. It is soccer. It's in Scotland, actually. So yeah, Adelaide Hills Hawks.
No.
It is soccer in Australia. You can still claw this back. It's fine. Saddleworth Rangers.
No. It is again.
It's not. You're right.
Right,
it's not soccer.
The law of averages. You're not going to go through.
It's a rugby league side in England. Thunder Bay Chill.
Never heard of these. I'll go football. Yeah, soccer.
Yeah, it's right. They compete in the Prairies Premier League in Canada. There we go. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Sounds more like a rugby team than a soccer team for me. This is not soccer.
Yeah, you're right. It's not soccer. It's an American football team. The Tralee Warriors.
The what?
Tralee Warriors.
Tralee Warriors. No, it's not soccer.
You're right. It's not. It's a basketball team in Ireland. And finally, the Fishguard Flyers.
Fishguard Flyers. You play for them? You're from Fishguard,
I used to.
Used to?
Maybe.
You don't look a soccer man to me, so I'll say no, not soccer.
Thank you. I'll take that. So yeah, you're right. It's not soccer. It's actually a swimming team. So
you swim, did you?
Actually, I didn't make the cut, but I nearly qualified, but didn't quite make the final cut. But yeah, there we go. So 5 out of 7. So da iawn, Nigel.
Not bad.
Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for in today's podcast. Today's podcast. Diolch yn fawr, Nigel, am eich amser. Thank you for being such a good sport, if you'll pardon the pun. And don't forget, if you would like to get in touch with the podcast, if you'd like to give a shout out, or if you'd like to contribute to any of the discussions we have on the podcast, then you can get in touch with us via WhatsApp. That's on 07939962137. In the meantime, of course, you can follow all the latest goings on with Wales YFC via our socials. That's Cyffi Cymru Wales YFC. Until the next podcast, diolch yn fawr iawn am rando, diolch yn fawr eto Nigel, and to everybody who contributed to the podcast. A hwyl am y tro.